Hello everybody, it is a Saturday morning, kind of cool for the desert, and we are off now to go get 2 more stamps in our Southwest Stamp Adventure here. Hopefully we'll get stamps 3 and 4 for our 20 stamp award. And we're going to first head over to the historic Colorado River State Park, and then go to the historic, notice the historic, Denise, historic Territorial Prison.
We could have had frozen custard last night.
We could have had frozen custard, but we didn't have frozen custard. Denise is pointing that out. Now coming into the historical area of Yuma, Arizona, and the building's definitely reflected
downtown
in
Yuma.
Yeah, the old downtown. It's not really downtown, but it's the old downtown.
Yeah.
And over here by City Hall area, this is where we were yesterday getting our National Historic Area Crossing stamp at the headquarters. So it seems to reason that this is where you'd go to get the Colorado Park. But it's just kind of cool. I just wanted to show you really quick what the downtown area looks like, because it's just a cool little downtown area here. We are crossing over again into Arizona because Denise got the directions wrong, so we had to make a U-turn. So we're doing 2 states today as we go into the Colorado River State Historic Park here. It's open. I can see people here at the Discovery Center. We're just hoping to get the stamp. But it's interesting, on one side, we're on the Arizona side, and then we're just right across from California here, so.
Yeah, it's like we're right at the Colorado. It's like the Colorado River is the border of the state or something.
Craziness, Denise. Craziness. So saying that we should read the plaque, so we'll read the plaque. It says, Yuma Crossing has been registered as a National Historic Landmark under the provisions of Historic Sites Act of 1935, and it was done in 1967. And then over here, this plaque says, Yuma Crossing Park. Yuma Crossing, used since prehistoric times, played a significant part in the development of the West. Basically, this area of the Colorado was known as the easiest place to cross the Colorado River, and was essential for that whole Gladstone Purchase Act back in the 1850s, is why this park is here. So today, they let us into the State Historic Park, and normally it's $8 to get in, but they let us in free because they're doing like a chalk walk activity. So they're doing chalk walk, but they let us in so we can look at the buildings, which are also open right now during this chalk walk event. So this is basically the base that the Army built in the 1850s after the Gadsden Purchase Act, which made this land from Mexico to the U.S. and created the Arizona Territory. And so this area of the Colorado River was the easiest part to cross the Colorado River, which, as opposed to up north in California, in Oregon, I'm sure everybody's heard about the Oregon Trail. That was a hard trail to cross, but because it was cold and mountainous. But down here it's flat. The only thing you have to worry about here is sand, but other than that, it's a very shallow river crossing, and the Colorado River here is very easy and shallow, and so it made for a nice river crossing. Going into this building, it says the dams of the Colorado River.
It was originally the storehouse.
The storehouse, okay. Well, that makes sense. And now it's holding a bunch of old carriages. You have some wagons here, 1885. Oh, that's funny. I heard the water running. I'm like, whoa. Oh, there's some dams there. Oh, that's why they say the dams. Huh.
They have displays on the various
dams. Oh, look at this one, a dump wagon.
Do you know what I learned?
What did you learn, Denise?
I learned this week that big covered wagons with their big hoops across the top are a myth. That very few people actually use those big hoops across the top because they were super difficult and annoying.
Yes, they were not very maneuverable. But Conestoga wagons were like the pickup trucks of their day.
Well, Conestoga wagons go back to the early 1800s. The late 1800s, we had the prairie schooners. People totally used wagons. They just didn't put the hoops on them very much. They just loaded them up and put a tarp over the top. So it wasn't an RV, it was a pickup truck. you know.
Well, this one, Claire, this is a U.S. Army one.
Not that they weren't impossible. They just weren't, you know, common. It was mostly, most people coming had prairie schooners. They just had the wagon. They had it loaded up. They had it covered with a tarp.
This is a Mormon Battalion wagon right here.
Aha, yes, yes.
The Mormon Battalion was an army of people from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who came over in 1846 to secure the southern route from the, well, I should say from the Council Bluff, Iowa to California. They eventually ended up in San Diego, where they eventually ended up, and this would have been the wagon that they came over in.
Types of wagons they would have used.
I'm going to go into the Southern Railroad building here.
Do you want to hand me those stamps, papers, and that?
Into the Southern Pacific Railroad, which was also eventually after the wagons came, so came the steam train, which was important. The southern route also was great for railroads because it was flat, unlike the mountainous route. So made for a much easier way. And looks like they have a little display here. You can, oh, it's not running though. Looks like the train could run under different circumstances, but that's kind of cool. Little model railroad of what it would be like here at the Yuma station. Really like this poster. That's a cool poster. Finally, the other way that you could get up here on the Colorado River is through steamboats. Not so much used today, but back when cars and trucks were not so plentiful, there was the various steamboats that would come through here. So very interesting. I believe I'm going into the officer's hall here. So gotta check my map here. Looks like I'm in the office of the quartermaster, and I can hear them doing some Morse code out there. So that is very interesting. Oh, and look, here is the office of the quartermaster. All have the uniforms of the U.S. Army during that time. Very elaborate, very fancy sergeant uniform there. And then there's the quartermaster and a picture of General Grant. Or actually at that time he was probably President Grant. Model of what it all would look like back then. Here's the entrance with the corral, and we're here at this building. We're here at that building over there, and then there's the observatory, and we'll check it out over at the river. Next we'll go up to the observatory. The observatory is the most important building out of all these buildings, and you'll see when I get up there why it's the most important building. The jackrabbit over there. Anyways, I am standing here in front of the observatory. So now I am standing in front of the observatory. You can see that behind me here. And if I switch the camera views, you can see why this is the most important building in this park. Because here from this observatory, that river over there is the Colorado River, and just on the other side of that river is of course California. And so you can see it's very short. If I zoom in here, I'm gonna zoom one. Here's a more zoomed in shot here. More zoomed in shot, and you can see it's not that far. You can almost jump across the Colorado River at this point. And so that's why this area was so valuable, this fort, because that mighty Colorado River that up in northern Arizona creates the Grand Canyon here almost looks like just a creek. And so it makes for a very easy crossing here, and almost like a walk in the park, like Denise is doing from afar over there. She's just walking across here. In today's day, this is a measuring station. They're still measuring the Colorado River. I can see somebody canoeing down the Colorado River right now. She looks like she's canoeing. It's very peaceful today. They're still measuring the Colorado River. They got to check the water levels, and this is how they do it. You can tell that the water level is like way low today, because as I zoom out here, you can see the water level is nowhere near the water level measuring station. So you can see this is how it works. There's a float down in there. There's 2 different intake levels, and so they're constantly measuring, but the water level is unfortunately very low. This whole area has been experiencing a drought. So we're gonna check out 2 more buildings here, and then I think we'll be done for here at the Colorado Historic River State Park. Colorado River Historic State Park. Now walking into the officers' quarters here. So expect this to be very nice. Oh yeah, look at this. Look at this nice parlor, complete with piano. That's really cool. And then over here, oh wow, there's a child's bedroom. So if you're an officer, it had privileges. You could bring your children with you. Tiny bed there. Nice hallway here that we're in. Let's go over here. Later on, this would become a customs house. When here's the master bedroom. It always amazes me how small they were back then. Look at that beautiful dress. And then finally the dining room. Wow, with presidential seal. It's got Washington and Martha Washington china on it. So very impressive table there. Looks like this would have been how it was set in 1874. They were eating very nice in here. Separate from the house is the kitchen. Here's a little outdoor garden. And these buildings are made out of adobe, so it's not as bad, but fire was always a concern back in the 1800s. And so with all this wood, you made sure that your oven was apart from your main building. But you can see, I bet you here in this little nook here, they probably ate more often than the formal dining room. But just nice little view there. Here is the servants' quarters. They had a nice little servant. I think it would be actually kind of cozy, especially on those cold nights. Being out here by the stove area would keep you nice and warm. So for servants' quarters, this is pretty nice area right here. I think that's gonna do it here for the state park. I was really impressed. I didn't think we'd be walking here. I just thought I was gonna get the stamps and go, but there was a lot of cool buildings here. We did get in for free because of the chalk event, but if you ever wanted to come here, it's $8, and I think it would be worth your while for $8 to see all these cool buildings. They do a really nice job of preserving everything here, and it's just kind of cool to think of what life was like back in the 1800s, back in the Old West, when it was all wild. So hope you enjoyed that video. Thanks for coming along. We're now here at the Territorial Prison, which was built in the 1870s, which was actually built by the prisoners themselves. They were forced to build it. But you'd think like that would be a security risk. Like if you built it, like they would be able to escape. But it was very notorious as a territorial prison for the short time that it was built. So we're gonna go get a stamp. It's interesting to me that they would build a prison right in front of the Colorado River like the fort, but I guess it could have served a dual purpose too. If they ever wanted to protect the river, they could do it from the prison as well. The building looks very sturdy. You can see the gates, the big iron gates to go into the holding cells. And back there you can see the door to the Territorial Prison, built in 1875. Okay, I was able to get actually 3 stamps. I got the Yuma Territorial State Park stamp, I got a Juan Bautista de Anza stamp, and I also got a Yuma National Heritage Area Crossing stamp. So that was 3 stamps here for the Territorial Prison, so that was kind of cool.